people! E sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio de Lendo em Inglês. E hoje a gente vai ler o capítulo 8 do livro The Star Shepherd, que é o livro que a gente está lendo aqui juntos em inglês. O intuito desse vídeo, dos vídeos do Lendo em Inglês, é ajudar a melhorar aí a leitura de vocês. Então, eu leio os capítulos do livro em voz alta, tá? Eu tento ler mais devagar do que eu normalmente leio, para que vocês consigam entender como que é a pronúncia das palavras. E caso você queira, você pode comprar esse livro para você ler junto comigo. O link tá aqui na descrição do vídeo, é só ir aqui embaixo na descrição do vídeo que o link para compra desse livro vai estar lá. Lembrando que esse livro é um livro internacional, então o livro físico é bem caro para você adquirir, tá? Mas você pode comprar o Kindle, tá? Se você preferir, ou você pode ler aqui junto comigo através das legendas, tá? Sempre que eu começo a ler o capítulo, eu legendo a parte que eu leio em inglês para que vocês consigam entender melhor a leitura, beleza? Então, vocês podem, quem não conseguir comprar nem o e-book, nem o livro físico, pode primeiro escuta, assiste o vídeo todo para você ter uma primeira noção do capítulo, depois você volta no início da leitura do capítulo e vai pausando nas legendas, e aí depois que eu leio, você pausa e você lê em voz alta, tá? Se você tiver o livro, você escuta primeiro o vídeo de eu lendo, vai você acompanhando aí no seu livro, depois você volta e tenta ler em voz alta, tá? Se você tiver aí no básico ou bem no comecinho do intermediário, o ideal seria você escutar acompanhando no livro 2 vezes antes de você tentar ler em voz alta aí na sua casa, tá? Lembrando que a gente também tem uma playlist aqui no canal que se chama Aprendendo Inglês com Música, que também tem bastante dica de pronúncia, tá? Nos vídeos de Aprendendo Inglês com Música, eu foco muito na pronúncia das sílabas, de algumas letras, então lá tá mais detalhada a questão da pronúncia. Aqui a gente foca mesmo na leitura, beleza? E eu tenho que voltar mesmo a gravar para aquela playlist, mas eu acho que já tem uns 7 ou 8 vídeos lá na playlist que já dá para ajudar bastante na pronúncia de vocês. Então vamos lá, pessoal, vamos começar aqui a leitura do capítulo 8. Então, vamos lá. Chapter 8. Peguei o lápis aqui porque fica mais fácil de eu marcar. When Cairo arrived home, he paused outside. The watchtower rose before him, the many telescopes dotting the roof like the antennae of some bizarre insect. Always watching, always waiting for another star to fall. But tonight, no one waited for him except his dog. The nearest star winked at Cairo. He knew what he had to do. He was tired of waiting for his father to return. There were Wisla in the prowl in the woods, and after what he had seen, Cairo suspected they were the ones stealing the stars. Something had to be done, and he was the only one left. He never again wanted to see one die in a Wisla's hand like he had a week ago. His father might have left him just the tools he needed to keep that from happening again. When Carol entered his home, Cypher bounded over to greet him. "Hi there, boy." He knelt down to hug his dog. When Carol headed for his father's workshop, where he'd stored the strange vials, his mother had once told him that stardust had protective properties, but it was rare. Perhaps this was what had become of the occasional star that fell too close to dawn to save. He hoped he could use it to get an edge over the dark creatures. Ever since he saw the Wisla pick up that star, Carol had been puzzling over how it had done it when he had been able to ward it off with a star's light a few nights earlier. What his father had told him not long before he left was the only thing that made sense. It was all about who wielded the star's power. As part of the starlight net in the sky, a star could hold back the evil creatures, and when Carol had picked it up, he was able to use it against the Wisla. but the Vizsla could destroy a star if it wasn't being actively used against them. The creature had done the deed quickly, as though it couldn't stand to touch the star for too long. Stardust wasn't quite the same as a star, but Cairo hoped that it would at least slow down any Vizsla that came near. They were getting bolder, and there was nothing stopping a Vizsla from following him all the way to his front door. At the very least, the stardust might give him a few more minutes to return a star to the sky. Cairo marched out to the perimeter of the yard and carefully surrounded it with a thin line of stardust. He studied it curiously for a moment. It almost looked like salt, but more shimmery. Then he returned home, took a deep breath, and went up into the watchtower, taking his seat in his father's clockwork chair. Now it was his, at least until his father came back. If he comes back, Cairo thought. Cypher licked his hand. I'm glad you've stuck around. Cairo pressed the button, and the chair began its rounds. Minutes passed into hours, while the stars performed their nightly dance in the sky overhead. Cairo had resigned himself to an uneventful evening when he heard a knock at the door. Father, was his first thought, and he immediately realized how foolish that was. Why would his father knock on his own door? It had to be someone else. Curious, Cairo hurried downstairs. He opened the door to find Andra and her sparkling dark eyes. His jaw dropped, but he couldn't help meeting her smile with his own. Hello, Starboy, she said. I know it's late, but I also know you stay up all night, so I thought it would be all right if you had a visitor. She hesitated, holding up the bag she carried. May I come in? I heard about your father. And I know the villagers haven't been very nice to you lately. I thought you might need some groceries. Cairo's stomach rumbled in response. He had been in such a hurry to leave the grocer earlier that he had only bought a couple necessities. His face bloomed red, but she laughed. Sounds like I was right. Yes, please, come in. Cairo opened the door wide. When Andra walked past him, he caught the scent of freshly baked cookies, like she was bringing a little bit of that warmth into his home too. Andra stopped to scratch Cypher behind his ears and even pulled a biscuit from her pocket for him. He gulped it down and wagged his tail, hoping for more. Cairo took the groceries. The bag was filled with bread and cheese, along with fresh greens, and even a little meat from the butcher, and a small bag that could only hold one of the sweets she always snuck him. Thank you, Andra. This is... Cairo had difficulty swallowing the sudden lump in his throat. This is real nice of you. I can pay you back when my father gets his next payment from the council. Andra waved him off. Don't worry about a thing. I wanted to help. Cairo ran a hand through his dark, unruly hair. He glanced around the small kitchen and workshop area. They never had guests and didn't really have anywhere to entertain people. Do you want to sit down or have something to drink? Eat? Andra laughed. Sure, I'd love to sit for a bit. Warmth tingled over Cairo's arms. Andra sat and folded her hands in her lap. Are you going to sit too? She asked. Yes. He joined her at the kitchen table, his legs bouncing nervously. Andra took in her surroundings. How do you monitor the stars from here? Oh, Carol was so surprised to have Andrew here in his house that he had nearly forgotten all about his duties. Yes, I should do that. I have to go up into the watchtower for that. Can I see? Andrew asked. Carol showed her the watchtower, Cypher dancing at their heels. When they reached the landing and the clockwork chair, Andrew's eyes grew wide. What is this? She asked. My dad made it. Carol patted one of the larger gears. He was a clockmaker before he became a star shepherd. He used to make all kinds of things, but he really threw his passion into this and modifying the catapult we used to return the stars to the sky. Andrea ran her fingers over the arm of the chair. What do all these buttons do? It's better if I show you. Carol hopped into the chair and pressed the button that made the chair slowly circle the room. Andra squealed when it began to move and marveled at how it stopped just long enough at its telescope to check that sector of the sky. Then this one, Carol pressed a yellow button, goes backward. The chair did as directed. Do you want to try it? Andra grinned. Absolutely. Carol stopped the chair and hopped off to let her sit. Her feet didn't touch the floor, but she still sat in the chair like she owned it. So, which button makes it go faster? Carol laughed. The blue one, but he didn't get a chance to finish his sentence. Andra pressed the button and the chair spun on its track, careering by the telescopes. She laughed, and after 2 full passes at lightning speed, she pressed the button to make it stop. Her eyes were full of wonder and starlight. Does your father let you do this by yourself often? She stopped off the clockwork chair, then plopped to the floor to play with Cypher. Carol's face clouded over. No, not usually. Never for a full night. Only if he's feeling sick or is late returning from a council meeting. Do you have any idea where he is now? She asked softly. Carol sank into the chair. It was positioned in the center of the room. He could see through each telescope from here if he wanted, but he'd need to use the chair to get a closer look through one of the telescopes if something fell across the sky. No, he said. He said he'd be back in 2 days, and that was a week ago. Andra put a hand on Carol's arm. I'm sorry. Maybe it was beyond his control. I'm sure he'll be back soon. Carol blinked rapidly. Yeah, I hope so. The thing is, I think he may have done something dangerous. Andra raised her eyebrows. What do you mean? Carol's eyes tracked through the telescopes while he talked just to be sure he didn't miss any falling stars. The other night something strange happened. We saw not 1, but 2 clusters of stars fall. That never happens. 2 stars in the same night is a lot, and more often than not, none fall. Andrew frowned. Why do you think they all fell at once? I'm not sure, but I can't help thinking that something is wrong with these stars. My father sure thought so. Carol picked at the loose thread on his sweater, debating how much he could tell Andra without her thinking he was crazy. One of the clusters was too far away, but the second was nearby. When we went after them, all we found were empty craters dotting the forest floor. Someone took the stars. Andra gasped, startling Cypher out her lap. Someone took them? How? Who would do such a thing? I don't know, Carol shrugged. That's why it's so strange. My father sent me home and... Carol hesitated. then decided not to mention his encounter with the Vizsla just yet. And when I got up the next day, he was preparing to leave. I think he found a clue out in the forest and now he's gone after them, and I have no idea where that might be. Caro wrapped his arms around his stomach and sank deeper into the chair. Cypher nudged Caro's knee, then leaned against his legs as if to comfort his master. All Caro felt was empty and cold. How do you know the stars didn't simply burn out before you could get there? Andrew asked. Because we would have at least found the cases. All the old stars have burlap cases, and when they fall from the sky, we replace them with new steel and glass ones. Carol hopped down and pulled over a discarded burlap sack. See, this was an old casing. How did the stars get all the way up there in the first place? Andrew asked. She hugged her legs to her chest and rested her chin on her knees. Carol knew this story so well he could recite it from memory. Even before his father had taken up star shepherding, Carol's mother had told him a version of it at that time that he knew by heart. He hasn't realized the significance at the time that she was giving him a little piece of herself, her past, for him to carry on. Maybe now he could pass that on too. E é isso aí, terminamos aqui o capítulo 8. Então agora, né, ele tá sozinho, sem saber onde o pai tá. Tem as Vizslas lá, que são os monstros lá que estão atrás das estrelas também. E a amiga dele, a Andra, que é a única pessoa da vila que gosta dele, né, que tipo fala com ele e tal, foi lá no meio da noite visitar e ver como que ele tá. Então, é nisso que a gente tá aqui nesse momento da história, né? Ainda não sabemos o que tá acontecendo de fato com as estrelas, nem aonde o pai do Cairo está. Mas, quem sabe aí no capítulo 9 a gente descobre mais alguma informação, né? Então é isso aí, pessoal. Espero que vocês tenham gostado da leitura aí conjunto comigo hoje, né, em inglês. Espero que esteja ajudando vocês. Esse livro é um livro para crianças de cerca de 8 anos. Isso quer dizer que, para quem está aprendendo inglês, você tem que ter um bom intermediário para pegar bastante das palavras, mas é sempre bom treinar, tá? Espero que eu tenha ajudado de alguma forma. Se você gostou desse vídeo, clique em gostei, que isso me ajuda bastante. Se inscreve no canal. Se você já é inscrito, clica no sininho para você receber notificação todas as vezes que eu postar algum vídeo novo. E a gente vai se falar nos próximos vídeos, pessoal. Tchau!